Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Hearts, and today I'll be breaking down the 6-game NBA slate we have here for Thursday night on DraftKings. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like button and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. Make sure to check out my free Patreon link down below, as well as my Twitter at HeartDFS. I'll be talking over my favorite spin-up plays, mid-range options, and value plays, and again, going more in depth on my free Patreon, which you can check in the description below. So yeah, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys in the slate breakdown. Before I get into the breakdown, here's my Twitter at HeartDFS. You can find the free Patreon in the link tree, as well as I'll put it on my profile, and you guys can also find it in the YouTube description down below. But I'll answer any questions, talk DFS, price picks, all that good stuff. And then, as you can see, the core plays were actually great tonight. DeJounte Murray, I think, had 49 or 50. KD had, I think, 62. Ayton had 47, and then Grayson Allen had 20. Which obviously, for 4 core plays for today, that's fantastic. Hopefully you guys were able to build off of that. I unfortunately played Porzingis and TJ Warren, and they were terrible. So I think I might still be able to cash. I'm like 8 points out, and I have Ish Smith, so he's doing decent. So I think I still be able to cash, but it's not going to be as good as the days as the past 2 were. So hopefully you guys, saw the core and were able to build from that, because it was a fantastic core. Keeping the streak alive there. Now, for the 6-game slates, we have OKC in Charlotte as the first game. Obviously, a great game environment here. 2 fantastic point guards in SGA and LaMelo Ball. So for the OKC side, we know the offense obviously flows through SGA. He has 30+% usage. 10-1 is a great price here versus Charlotte. I mean, just look at his box score. I mean, he's just been fantastic this season. So I love him as a spin-up play here against Charlotte. Giddey, I don't mind him as a contrarian play in the mid-range. He only saw 23 minutes. He got pulled. We know he has upside even with SGA. He has decent upside. Like, he's gonna get you 30 to 40 fantasy points depending on how well he's playing, maybe more. So yeah, I don't mind him playing both of them together to get a little bit different. Dort is there. I mean, he should see close to mid 30s minutes. He also got his minutes pulled in that Spurs game as well. Excuse me, obviously a little bit of a blowout, but in a close game, he should see mid-30s minutes. You can definitely go there. Jalen Williams coming off probably his best game of the season. At 5,000, I don't think there's a need to get to him. Poku is going to be out for at least a month, maybe 2. Kenrich Williams, he only saw 18 minutes, but maybe he sees mid-20s now with Poku out. JRE is out as well, so there is going to be a situation where I'm assuming they'll probably start Mike Muscala. He played 21 minutes in the last game. He's pretty productive when he's out there. I'd say, expecting at least 20 fantasy points from him is, great. And he should see, I'd say, mid-20s, maybe a little bit more minutes. But I think right now, if we expect 20 minutes, 25, that's really all you need there from him at 3,400. So I think he looks great there. And then for the rest of the team, obviously, we'll expect Kenrich Williams off the bench. They'll throw in Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, man. But really, covering up the big man minutes, it's going to be Muscala, and they're going to bring off most likely a Basley at 3,000. I think he's a great value play there as well. Minimum price should see at least 15 minutes. Anything above that is great. He's a decent point per minute guy. So him and Muscala are my favorite plays on this side alongside SGA. And then you can get to like these secondary pieces, but really it's just kind of the big man and SGA for me. Charlotte side, LaMelo Ball looks great there, 9.7. Terry Rozier, not a bad mid-range option. Should play the minutes. He's still going to shoot the ball a ton. Obviously doesn't have as high as of ceiling with LaMelo in there, most likely handling the ball the whole time, getting those assists. So Terry Rozier's ceiling is a little bit lower, but at 7,300, don't mind taking a shot on him. Oubre is questionable, most likely doubtful for tomorrow. So we'll probably get Gordon Hayward, Plumlee, Rozier, LaMelo, and Washington starting. And then off the bench, if Dennis Smith Jr. is back, I think he'll be on a minutes limits, but off the bench we'll have McDaniels. We'll have Mark Williams, who should see some minutes. Maybe we get one of these random guys like Thor, Kai Jones, but they'll run a tight rotation. But really, the only play I really like is LaMelo. The rest of the guys are secondary plays like a Plumlee, Hayward, Rozier, all secondary. I don't mind the PJ Washington there at 5,300. He's been playing the minutes, past 30+ minutes. Has a decent ceiling, so 5,300, don't mind him there. It's OKC, so right now I'm just going to throw him in there for this lineup. Who else we got here? That's really it. I mean, you can go to McDaniels off the bench, should see decent minutes. But yeah, it's really just going to be the LaMelo and then Washington for me. Moving on to Cleveland and Indiana. For Cleveland, I think Garland and Mitchell do seem a little bit too cheap here. I prefer getting to Mitchell. He's pretty score independent. Hasn't scored the ball the best the past 2 games, 4 of 16, 5 of 16, but he's going to see close to 40 minutes. He's going to shoot the ball 20 plus times. So against Indiana, really, really like Donovan Mitchell. Garland is there as more of a contrarian play. Like, he does have his ceilings. We saw last game. It's just kind of random at times. You would expect more consistency out of him scoring the ball, but it seems that's just Mitchell's role, and Garland's going to be more of that assist man. Allen, don't mind getting to him there. He should see the minutes, decent point per minute guy. Just not like a real priority, even though I do like that price tag. Mobley's there, LeVert's there. Don't mind going to Kevin Love as like a random tournament option. The minutes are kind of all over the place with him. Same thing with Seti. His minutes are all over the place. He's okay, production-wise. You can definitely look to him as a value player there at 3,500. I'll mention Lamar Stevens. He'll start, but he's just a terrible point per minute guy. And really, it's just kind of the top 2 guys for me and maybe Allen. On Indiana side, Halliburton is questionable. Obviously, big news because if he's out, we'll have to look to TJ McConnell. We'll look to Nembhard, who should fill in that role of the backup point guards. But let's assume he's in for right now. I do like him at 9,200, even in a tough defensive matchup. Turner, 6,400, does look appealing here. The minutes just haven't been there. They've been getting blown out the past few games, always in foul trouble. So he's just very up and down. Don't mind taking a shot on him because we know he has 40, 50 plus potential. Buddy Hield had a good game in the last game. Before that, it was just kind of average. So you can go to him at that price tag. Don't hate it. Mathurin, always a tournament option. But really, it just depends on that Halliburton news. Because if he's out, then obviously Nembhard becomes a fantastic play. McConnell becomes a very solid value play there at 3,100 as a backup point guard. And that's really it. I don't see a need to get to like a Naismith or Jalen Smith right now. For the Clippers in Boston, this should be a great game to watch. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, both back. I guess I prefer Kawhi, even though Paul George has been a little bit more productive recently. I know the minutes have been great on Kawhi. The shot attempts should be there. They weren't there that Toronto game. Not really sure why. But yeah, he should see 15 plus shot attempts. So I do like him a good amount at 7,800 in this matchup. John Wall, 5,500, just kind of there. Zubac had a great game last game. He can have those random games. It's just, not very consistent. The price came up a little bit, but 5,200 for him. You could definitely look to him. I don't mind it here, but not a real priority for me as of right now. But yeah, that's really it. We know the offense is going to go through Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. So they're the 2 priorities for me. The rest of the guys, the secondary plays I'd look to would probably be Zubac and Wall. And maybe if you want to get super, super risky, you can look to Luke Kennard as a value play, and then maybe Powell, even though that's not, a great feeling. Boston, Tatum is way too cheap here, 10-3, even in a tough matchup. We know what we're getting from Tatum this season. He's been super, super consistent. Brown, 9,100. He's been great, but I just don't love that price tag for him. He's pretty score independent at times. So I just prefer getting to Tatum for a little bit more. And then the secondary plays, like these guys are a decent secondary plays, like a Smart. Hasn't been scoring the ball, hasn't been shooting a ton recently, but we know he has a ceiling. He's got those good defensive peripheral stats. Horford here, should see close to 30 minutes, if not more. He has upside, same thing with Brogdon at 5,100. So I think right now Tatum and Brogdon are going to be my favorite plays. Like they did start Derek White. He's been productive recently. You could always take a shot on Grant Williams as a value play there. But yeah, it's going to be Brogdon and Tatum for me right now, but I do have interest in the secondary pieces. For Memphis and Toronto, Ja, 10,000. He looks pretty cheap here too as well, even alongside, Bane, who is back. Saw a little bit of a minutes increase. If we get news that he's off of it, I do like him at 7,000, even though he's been shooting the ball terribly. But if he's still on it at 7,000, don't think you need to do it. I really just prefer getting to Ja. Triple J is always a tournament option. He's been terrible recently, so if you would like to buy low on people, you can definitely look to him in this matchup. Should be pretty low owned. And then Steven Adams, always mention him as a tournament option. But yeah, the interest, once again, for me really is just only Ja, and then Triple J, and then Steven Adams. For Toronto, Siakam's been great the past month, so if you want to pay up for him at 10-2, in this matchup, I really, really do like it. So I'm going to throw him in there for now. The rest of the team, just more secondary plays. Obviously, Van Fleet misses. We could definitely look to, Scotty Barnes should be more of a ball handler. Maybe we'll see guys like Malachi Flynn or, Delano Banton off the bench. What to see right now. We'll just have to wait for that news. But if he's good to go, it's really just going to be Siakam and Van Fleet for me. You can get to OG and Scotty as like secondary plays. Scotty's had 2 good games recently. OG can have a good game, but really it's just, very, very risky because we know the offense is going to go through Siakam and Van Fleet. Gary Trent, you can always take a dart throw on him, but I don't advise it. I really just stick with the 2 main Toronto guys and then get risky with other picks. Moving on to New York and San Antonio. We have Randall at 9.5. He's been just playing fantastic. Another great matchup here for Randall. So, 4 straight games, 50 plus fantasy points, 40 minutes pretty much a game, double pretty much every game. What's they're not like with Randall right now? It's pretty much just averaging 55 fantasy points per game like the past month. You get a matchup against the Spurs, so it looks like the best play of the day, but maybe his ownership will be high. Maybe he busts here. Who knows? RJ Barrett is out. I don't even want to talk about RJ Barrett that last game. You just unluckiest thing to happen so far in NBA DFS is RJ Barrett in that last game. That's all I say. Brunson, if he's back at 7,400, I do like him a good amount here. A great matchup for Brunson. Should shoulder more of the offense load with RJ Barrett out alongside Randall. Grimes, 5,600. I'd only get to him if Brunson's out. So then we can look to it quickly again. We can look to a Grimes who should shoot the ball more. Randall would be even better. Mitchell Robinson's playing a little bit better recently. 2 40-point games. We know he has that ceiling. It just comes down to if he can play the minutes and stay out of foul trouble. He has it the past 2 games. If people chase and he's going to be like 30+% owned, I don't love it. But, these guys do look great here against the Spurs. Cam Reddish, if, RJ Barrett's out, if Brunson's out, maybe he could crack the lineup. Hartenstein should see the backup center run. But, yeah, they're just playing their starters a ton of minutes. Obviously, it's all going to change with that Brunson news, so we'll have to wait for that. For the Spurs side, Keldon Johnson, Vassell, both questionable. Super frustrating because, we never know, even with these guys, if they get ruled out, you could definitely see them just pop into the lineup because Pop's done that before this season where they ruled out Keldon Johnson, and then right before the game started, they said he's going to play. But yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on this news because it's their 2 main guys. The whole team is basically these 2. So if they get ruled out or one of them's out, the other one, the one who's playing, looks great. If they're both out, then Trey Jones becomes a very, very good play. We can look to guys like Sohan, who's been just fantastic the past 4 to 5 games for some reason. We can look to him. Richardson off the bench should have a lot more usage. Branham, Langford, all these guys. So right now, once again, we have to kind of wait for the news. This game's all about the news. And then Houston and Dallas, we have KBJ 7-7. He's been playing great the past 2 games. Don't love the price tag for him against Dallas. Jalen Green, he's there. He's been decent as well. Smith, I think he'd be my favorite play on this side at 5,000. Senegun's been good as well. But yeah, it's really just going to be, if you want to get to people, I'd say prefer getting to KPJ and Green, with me giving the edge to Green just because he's cheaper, even though he's a little bit more scoring dependent and not as safe with the peripheral stats. But I think my favorite play is going to be Jabari Smith there at 5,000. He's seeing solid minutes. He's shooting the ball a good amount, getting those rebounds. It just comes down to if he's hitting the shots and threes, which he does. If he is, he's got decent upside at 5,000. And then the value plays like Martin, Eason, they're there. If Tate's back, it does hurt in guys like Martin, Eason in their minutes. Gordon should be back as well. So you can look to him as a value play. Usually should see mid-20s minutes. 3,400, don't hate it. And that definitely eats into the ceiling of guys like Tate, Easton, and Martin. So yeah, not a ton I like on Houston. And then Dallas, obviously a fantastic matchup here against Houston. We saw the last game versus Houston, 42 minutes, 50, 10, and 8. And then he threw up 32, 9, and 9. And obviously the historic 60, 21, and 10. So Luka's been balling. He's only 12,000. I'm sure he'll be super popular. It's a great matchup. Obviously, there's huge blowout risk, but they kept the first game close. If you think it's going to stay close again, I mean, Luka is an absolute lock. If you think that, Wood, fantastic revenge game. He put up only 22 against Houston, which is surprising. Only shot it 6 times. Maybe he's in foul trouble, but yeah, a terrible game from him there. He's been great at the blocks recently. We know he has huge upside. So at 7,900, don't mind doing a little stack with Luka and Wood. Dinwiddie's there. They're playing a ton of minutes. He played great last game. So if you want to ride the minutes with these Houston or Dallas guys, don't mind it. They all 3 at the top look very, very good. Hardaway, scoring dependent. He'll get the minutes. It just comes down to him hitting his shot. So I don't think he's a must play there at his price tag. Really just prefer again with the top 3 main guys. And then you can get to like a Bullock. If he's questionable, obviously will open up more minutes for like a Batons, a Powell, maybe McGee gets back in the rotation. But yeah, this Dallas team is going to play a ton of minutes with these 3 main guys, so they all 3 of them look great. Let's see if we can fit Luka in here. We can, so right now we'll just throw him in there. And then to fill out the rest of this lineup, make sure to hit that like button. Yeah, but to fill out the rest of this lineup, we'll go to, so we got Muscala, Siakam, Washington, Luka. I'm going to go to Basley because he should see some power forward, backup center run, 3,000. We know he's a solid point per minute guy. So at 3,000, if he got his 20 fantasy points, that'd be more than enough there at bare minimum. So we'll throw him in there for the 2 OKC guys in that matchup versus Charlotte. We have 5,300 left over. So we'll go to shooting guard real fast. Let's see what we can get here. Obviously, quickly would be a great play if Brunson's going to be out. Nimhard if Halliburton's going to be out. So there's a lot of good options we can go with. Obviously, it's hard because I'm doing this the night before. We don't have the news yet. So just based on that, let's just say, let's just go for Brogdon for right now, just because I don't want to just be like, oh, if Halliburton's out, let's just assume Halliburton's out because he's not. So we'll just go with Brogdon. Don't mind him there at 5,100. We know he's a decent showing. The minutes have been great recently. Blowout. So it's been limited in his minutes, but he should see mid-20s, close to 30. He's been very, very, very productive when he's out there. A little bit of a cap suing, but if you got you like 35, close to 40 fantasy points at 5,100, that'd be fantastic. Small forward, 5,500 left over. Obviously, Grimes there, depending on the Brunson news. You can go to him even with Brunson in. Don't mind it. He will be more aggressive, but yeah. Let's just go to... Not a lot I like in this range. Let's just go to the guard position. Maybe we'll come back to small forward. Guard, let's start at the bottom, go up. Brooks. Wall, Grimes, Walker. Actually, we're just going to go Grimes for now. We'll throw him in the small forward because, with Barrett out, he should see at least, mid-30s minutes now. He's going to shoot the ball, I wouldn't say 25 times. I'd say more, probably in that 10 to 15 range. So at that price tag, it does seem a little bit too cheap there. And then we're left with 5,400 left over. And then with that, we can get to Mitchell Robinson if you want to, play another Nick who's had huge upside recently. Zubac, a lot riskier, but he still has upside as well. Then we can get to a Horford, Steven Adams, a lot of risky center options in this range. Or you can pay down a little bit, get to Jabari Smith, who's playing the minutes, just comes down to if he's hitting the shots quickly. So right now, I think I'm just going to throw quickly in there as well. Super productive guy, great point per minute guy. I played 51 minutes in that last game. Shot the ball terribly, 5 of 21. But yeah, he's going to shoot the ball a ton. Has huge upside, as you can see in that past game. Double-double, 15 assists. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go with this for now. Obviously, we'll have to keep updated with the news, so stay tuned on my free Patreon and Twitter for the updates. But I don't mind this lineup right now, and obviously with the news, it's really going to shake up everything. But you get Luka, fantastic matchup there versus Houston. He's been on fire recently. Brogdon, okay play as of right now. We'll have to see how that goes with the news. Then Grimes, Washington, Siakam, quickly, Basley, Muscala. So yeah, guys, hit that like button, follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.